This episode of Watch Out for Fireballs is brought to you by our patrons at patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. You can join them if you would like to get a special thanks at the beginning of an episode, as well as a host of other benefits, including supporting your hosts. So head on over to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are talking about The Bard's Tale, which is a first-person dungeon crawler developed by Interplay and published by Electronic Arts for the Apple II in 1985.
Yeah, and this episode was executive produced by DWG. Thank you, dog. I know that's not dog. Every time I read it, I keep thinking dog. But DWG.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. We're going to be talking kind of about a whole era of PC games and talking about this.
Yes.
A more unkind era. Boy, drop into one of these, even the updated version, to realize how soft you are when it comes to quality of life.
It really soft in terms of expectations. It's one of the ways. So I was happy to play this because it's an important game.
Very much.
CRPG history. There's not a whole lot of like story to it and everything. So it takes a long time to play, but it might be kind of a shorter episode.
Yes.
But it is the way I kind of consoled myself thinking about it is, when you say a stand-in, like this is kind of our blobber episode.
Yeah.
Like we'll talk about what that means and everything. But to me, this stands in for like, this is what we're going to do instead of doing early wizardries or might and magics or probably even early Ultima, even though those are a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe at some point, like a later entry in one of those series might still tempt us away. But it took a while for there to be, this is one of those things where there are a lot of innovations this game had, and they're important and good. It took a while before something for me rose to like really be compelling.
Right.
For me. So this was tough to get through. And I always feel a little bad about that when it's something that's executive produced by a patron, but I've talked to DWG, back and forth and everything. I don't think there'll be any hard feelings. It's an interesting game and historically.
Yeah. I got no resentment.
Like, I don't know, unless you have specific nostalgia or you're a historian, like you're probably okay.
Right. If you're probably like me, like this pops up in bundles quite a bit. Like I didn't have to buy this. It was just on my PC. So like,
how can you spare the kilobytes? Like it just, it wasn't on your PC all the time.
It wasn't downloaded. I had to download it. It was my library rather.
Yeah.
So like maybe poke around at it. I think to appreciate what you got now. But yeah, like there are kind of better examples of games, put out, I think more recently that capture a lot of the feeling of this, without getting the, kind of historical perspective, because this is like weirdly almost like the Crisis of its day.
In some ways. Yeah. It's also, just on a personal level, I was not expecting this to be as grindy as it was. This ended up using a decent, this is going to be a big year for me testing my turn-based combat, like JRPG style turn-based combat reserves.
Yes.
And that's okay. I'm strong.
Yeah.
There's still some life in this old warhorse. But this really, I'm going to try not to dwell on it too much.
Yeah.
It is the problem with this game Like it is what you do for the entire game, and it's pretty bland.
Yeah.
And it's really, for me, there's not much, like the combat in this is bad, but it just ends up making me frustrated at like Pokemon from 2 generations ago.
Right.
You know, like this was 1985. Like it made, you know, it's so long ago. Like we can have combat like this 40 years ago.
Right.
Why are we still making games that do it? You know, I don't, why is it still a thing?
For people who are confused about why you are kind of drawing out a JRPG comparison, you know, turn-based combat, random encounter kind of thing, this is so early that this both the Bard's Tale and like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy are both inspired by the same thing.
Yes, it's all wizardry.
Like, yeah, they're so close to the source of like wizardry on like original Apple computers here that like this is before there was a diversion. You do not get into dungeon crawlers that may have like a more tactical element, like in the gold box games, right?
Yeah, we're not there yet. It's just basically this game also has the exact same lineage that bore classic console RPGs, is the point. So, you know, JRPG not as a country, but as a genre.
Yes.
Like this is a CRPG through and through, but mechanically, genre-wise, it's closer to what we might call, I mean, it's a blobber, but in terms of the combat, it's closer to what we might call a console RPG.
Right.
Now, even though it's played on PC, it's confusing. You know, but genre is different than platform or country.
Precisely. Yeah. But just to say, like, we are so far back that this is kind of before fish and frogs were different things.
Yeah. It's real back in the day, and that's not to say there are no mechanical tweaks or innovations or anything. Like there's cool stuff that it does.
There really is.
Also, there's a weird bereftness of content. In it, like, which we'll get into. I'm been looking forward to this episode. Like it was a struggle to play this game, but there's a lot of interesting things to talk about. In this, the basic principles: you play a party of adventurers. You're trying to defeat the evil wizard Mangar. And you are locked in the city of Skara Brae in an eternal winter. You're snowed in.
Right.
And Mangar has unleashed monsters into the streets, and somebody's got to do something about it.
Right. To do this, you have to navigate the town and several dungeons from a first-person perspective, battling enemies to get stronger and finding clues and items that will help you proceed. And Gary, you have used the word a couple of times here. You've described this as a blobber. What does a blobber mean?
A blobber is a first-person dungeon crawler like this, where you control a party, but basically all as one unit there, like a big blob of people, like the thing from the end of Inside. If that description doesn't work, you know what this is. This is, as we mentioned, wizardry, might and magic. The dungeons in, say, Ultima or Phantasy Star become this. They're on a grid, usually, which is a part of mapping, which is a major part of this. That's what talk about.
And this would roll into things like Etrian Odyssey, and to a degree, like Legend of Grimrock is kind of pulling from this, although the combat in that is very different.
It being real time makes a big difference.
For
that.
So a note about versions. You can obviously still emulate the original Apple II version of it. I would recommend looking at video of that just to see what it looked like, because some of the effects are pretty spookily cool for, firmly in the middle of the Reagan administration. But we played the Bard's Tale trilogy remastered. This is the one that was released in 2018, kind of as part of the initiative and Kickstarter to make the Bard's Tale 4.
Yes. Yeah. Which I've heard good things about.
Same. I played the first 20 minutes of it. It seems real neat.
This has a bunch of quality of life improvements that bring it more up to speed with modern games. In addition, does some things to kind of unify it with later entries in the trilogy. For example, the most obvious example is the third game had an auto map built in. You can backport that into the first 2 games as well. Using the trilogy. And I recommend it. The way mapping works, like we'll talk about this in level design, it's a really, really different idea of how to do that.
Right.
Just it changes the rhythms quite a bit.
If it's unclear, so they give you tons of very granular options if you decide that you want to go into legacy mode for what you want to turn on and what you want to turn off. Because I have not played the original, it's very difficult for me to make a to have knowledge of what was added in which in which versions.
Yeah,
or in which sequels. Like, I didn't know that the original version didn't have distances, and the having enemies at different ranges really changes the game.
yeah, it adds some much needed complexity.
Yes,
to things. Another change, that this is a change with the remaster, and in general, we say there's a change with this version. It may have been in the third entry in the game, which we haven't played. Right. So bear with us there. But you have a party made of 6 people. This gives you a 7th slot. In the remaster, and this is for a cool innovation, which we'll talk about. Yeah. But generally, you have a party of 6. There are different classes we should chat about briefly. We got bards. That's the coolest thing to me. Yes. In this. Yeah. This is the first thing to make bards cool. The first game, and really necessary in multiple ways. Like you need one to solve a puzzle. Yeah. They'll get, but they're absolutely crucial support characters in this. They sing. They sing songs that are long lasting, really cleverly. They can sing a certain number per level, but then they need to go to a bar and wet their whistle. Love that. So you can just do different drinks, and then you get your songs filled up. Not great fighters or anything, but eventually we'll get magical instruments that do stuff, and then get the ability to just kind of sing as much as they want, and become just absolutely killer support members of the crew. I think that's really cool that they made this mechanically interesting class, basically from almost nothing.
Yeah.
In 85.
Yeah. It is real neat. It is the way that bards, like, I don't know. It's a good way for them to function. Like, I associate this kind of thing with like EverQuest and the way that they handle bards. Right.
It's different than the D&D way, which bards can do this, but they're also just jacks of all trades. Here, a bard is specifically a musician.
Yeah. There are a bunch of melee fighters that all function really similarly, but have some slight differences. So, like, you've got paladins and warriors, and those are basically identical except for some stat differences.
Equipment stuff.
Yeah. But like paladins are able to take a little bit lower stats, but they can equip kind of more specialized things that you get later on in the game.
They get multi-hits easier as well.
Yeah.
Things. Monks are standard D&D rules, like cannot equip a lot of equipment, but their stats go up naturally. So it's a money-saving thing, but then you don't get to use the cool, fun equipment you get.
And hunters are a little bit weaker, but they gain the ability to get critical hits.
Yes, they have a critical rating. The kind of special classes, so rogues in this are kind of interesting. They actually, I didn't realize this, they were just there to disarm traps, basically, back in the original version, and they could hide in shadows, but in the original version, that was just to not take damage. The ability to do a backstab is ported into the remaster.
Yeah, that's a good addition. Yeah.
I didn't end up using a rogue. You have more classes than you have character slots in this, but that is a good reason to use a rogue. It kind of gives you a bonus frontline fighter. And then you have 2 different kinds of casters with a really interesting magic system. Conjurers and magicians is how you start out. They both have entirely different spell progressions that come up. Every 2 levels, you get new spells. We'll talk about how you learn them and stuff when we talk about town exploration. But the interesting thing is you multi-class them. They can turn into 2 other classes. Sorcerers and wizards.
So conjurers are more about like dungeoneering stuff and just damaging single enemies. Magicians are like support magic and group attacks. Then the advanced classes, the sorcerers do a lot of direct damage stuff. And then wizards, it's a lot of summoning. For kind of filling in that 7th slot, if you would like to.
You can get very powerful things in there. There's also a really interesting sorcerers can do illusions for that, and you can have an illusionary member of your party, but they can be disbelieved by monsters, so they have a chance to eliminate it. That's all neat. I think that's neat. It does end up, it's kind of makes a weird rhythm for level ups because you can switch over classes at level 3,
Mm-hmm.
or once you have 2 spell levels, but you don't want to. You want to go through all of the spell levels, and then you start over at level 1 while keeping all of your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you level up really quickly
into
these new classes.
Yeah. So I got my 2 casters. They went from level 1 to 13 4 times.
Yes. Yeah. It's real silly. And you just get a staggering number of spells.
Yeah.
From this. There are a lot of different spells, and they're cumulative. Like, you don't lose your old spells when you change classes.
Right. Yeah. It's very weird to have a basically no cost multi-class system like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of balanced by the fact that there is a party layout here.
Right.
So your wizards, you keep them in the back. They can only cast spells or use ranged weapons. Only the first 4 ranks can do melee damage and is exposed to melee damage. And then the back ranks are not. Right. They can only do ranged things.
Yeah. The remaster makes things a little bit tougher. Dead allies will automatically fall to the back, pushing weaker enemies or pushing weaker allies to the front. So having any of your front guys, one of which may be a rogue or a bard, which might be a little bit weaker, having one of them drop, you may end up getting the only guy who can teleport you out of the dungeon or revive people killed.
Yep. It is much easier, but it's still harsh.
Yes.
In that respect.
Yeah. Different classes are able to equip different but overlapping sets of gear. More advanced gear is going to give you spells on use, or give you these passive buffs, many of which can get really, really powerful. And those, of course, like D&D, you need to pay to have them identified.
Yes. Yeah. In town. A rogue can also do it. That's the rogue's other special skill.
Oh, yeah.
If you took one, which I didn't. So you spend above ground, there's the town. You spend your time there, and there's a day and night cycle for it. Nighttime is similar to a Castlevania 2. It is a dangerous night to have a curse. And the difference here is that you can encounter enemies in multiple groups. During the day, you'll always be one group. At night, you'll fight multiple groups.
Yeah.
And your solar-powered characters, your photosynthesis mages, will not automatically recharge their spells.
Yeah. So you would have to make your way. Although I don't know if the Energizer guy is open at that time.
I think Energizer guy is open.
Okay.
The only 2 things that are closed are the Advancement Council and Garth's Equipment Emporium.
Not Night Owls there. Yeah. But you can advance. It took me, I had to Google to figure this out. Not great documentation on this game. I had to Google to figure out you can automatically advance today by going to the Adventurers Guild.
Yeah.
Which is where good.
Yeah. Or I was gonna say DWG had some cool insight on that. Because I was talking about how it's like you spend at nighttime and all you can really do is hang around the temples and grind through the night. In the original version, you have to save at the Adventurers Guild. So you would probably naturally figure out that it advances today.
Right.
Because you would go there to save.
Yeah. I was just like, man, the day and night, it moves very slowly. Is the thing. This is not like an 8-minute day, 4-minute night kind of deal.
No.
Yeah. When you go into dungeons, things change. Mostly from a navigational standpoint. You're still going on grids, but it's dark. You lose your sense of heading. So if you're playing the old version, you lose the little message that tells you which direction you're facing. If you're playing the new version, you lose your compass. And your mini map, if you decide to be using that, will change to the useless kind of mini map where north is not up. Yes.
Yeah. Whichever way you're facing looks up there. So you use spells to gain light and get your compass back.
Yeah.
From this. It's worth talking just real quick because we didn't talk about it before. The advancement, as we mentioned, the Advancement Council, that is how you level up and get new spells. You have to go to a council of weirdos to get this.
They give you your annual review.
Yeah, you go and you pay your dues, and it costs money. You go there and you say like, "Hey, I've killed this many monsters," and they say, "Okay, you're level 2," and make you more powerful. You get HP up and a random stat up. That can be a problem and could encourage save scumming for level ups, like a Fire Emblem. Again, just thinking about modern games that didn't shed this nonsense. So I never did that. I didn't save scum them, but you would if you were min-maxing, and I think you'd probably be more likely to in the original version because it's much harder.
Yes. Yeah. You don't want to waste a level because they get more expensive as you go. Even much more so in the original version. The leveling curve has been kind of smoothed out in the new one, at the expense of getting rid of the grinding spots that people used to use.
You just had to find different ones. You got to find that. You got to find those undead. Those like 69 whites.
Yeah, couldn't find any that were that sufficed.
Oh, they're in the catacombs, my man. There's a route in the catacombs of the bad god or whatever.
Yeah, no, I had a route. It was just not very good compared to what they were describing experience point wise in the guides that I referred to.
Yeah, it feels like you could do better, but then that's the fucking. I mean, god damn it, we're talking about this kind of game setup, and I'm like, what is the difference between me just spending the hours I spent on this and then just going and altering an INI file? I just like, it's so silly to be like, we found grinding spots. They just weren't as efficient.
Yeah.
We were doing the same fucking thing.
Yep.
Like, it's just slower. God, I hate this combat model. This experience combat model. This is this is the logical extension of a grindy console RPG experience.
Yeah.
But good God, is it a grindy console RPG experience where you're just tapping? Like, there are cool fights, there are hard fights and stuff, but you just spend so much time on anonymous encounters. I cannot recall.
Yeah. Another just kind of gripe thing. This is quality of life that is not even really addressed in the remaster. Lots and lots of recasting spells. There are tons of things that are just going to seemingly arbitrarily or seemingly just to annoy you, just drop all of your enchantments, and they get much more common as they go on.
Anti-magic.
Anti-magic, or even in the the earlier dungeons, like the dungeons are dark. You need, but there is a darker than dark that you can run into that snuffs out all of your light.
Super dark.
Yeah, and you just got to go in and select the spell that you want to use, and then it goes.
Yes, that has impact in terms of menu tax.
Yes.
What you're talking about. It also has impact in terms of rhythm, of just piling up reasons that you have to make a run back to town.
Yeah.
Early on, the only way to get your spell points back is to head back to town and talk to this guy in a mage tower. If you can have a torch to do light, like that's fine, but you can't have a compass. So if you end up on a trap that ruins your sense of direction, you may as well head back.
Yeah.
Because if you're out of magic points, first of all, if you're doing like we did and use casters for trap zap to disarm like chest, which every single one of them's trapped, you're useless. You're dead in the water. And this is on top of a lot of different status effects that make you dead in the water. So between them constantly stripping you of your, they're not even buffs. Like they're necessary exploration aids, and these status effects, you're just constantly shuttle running back to the surface. With this, which again changes that rhythm of just back and forth, grindy.
Yeah,
the number of times where like my party was doing pretty good, but I was out of spell points. So I just had to trudge back because I'm like, all it's going to take is one bad fucking encounter to be ruined. And I can't buy an elixir. I can't buy like a mana potion or anything like that.
No healing, but what your casters can do. And your casters, I think that in the remaster, there are 2 tiles that will refresh your MP inside later dungeons. There's one in Mangar's, and I think there's one in the castle is what it is. So like you're leveling up and grinding. I mean, like, to be able to fight tougher enemies, but like everything except for the last boss encounter I was able to destroy in 1 or 2 rounds, right? Like, it's not necessarily, to get through these meat walls. You're kind of leveling to increase the size of your gas tank so that you are not reaching the failure condition of running out of every single resource before you get to those things that will kind of like, knock you over if you get to them unprepared.
And the reason you want the high gas tank is because this is as good a place to talk about this as any, is the level design of this place, which is really strange. you are encouraged to make a beeline to the goal of these dungeons.
Right.
They are mazes. The little nooks and crannies are just nooks and crannies. Like every once in a while, you'll find a set encounter there, and you can find a treasure chest or find a monster that drops a treasure.
Yeah.
But in general, they're mazes to get through. Once you know how to get through them, you know, once you've mapped or gone through the first, you know, few levels of a maze, you really just want to jet to the fourth level. The only thing stopping you is being high enough level to fight the monsters there. Yeah. So it's not like these are spaces to explore other than for the purely exploring, just completing a map. You know, it's like putting together a jigsaw puzzle almost.
Yeah.
You know, you're not exploring to find anything extrinsic or even intrinsic, because at the end of the day, you're just getting a map or a maze rather. Yeah. You know, it's not like a cool layout or anything.
Right.
It ends up being really, really weird, where the first time you go into a dungeon, you're checking, you know, at least for me, I was checking all the tiles because I'm incentivized to explore a video game space.
Yeah.
You know, and I would find the path downward and my video game heuristic would pop in and I would say, I can't do that. I'm not done with this floor.
There's a whole corner I haven't looked at.
Maybe there's stuff. There's not stuff.
No.
Like when you find the way down, go down. You know, it's an entirely different way to play these games and think about them.
Yeah.
You know, and if you were making your own maps, which is a big part of the appeal for people who are fans of this genre, like creating their own maps on graph paper, that would be the game, trying to map it. So then you have this map, you have this physical object that showed you how to zip to the end of this.
Yes.
You know, you had like you created a artifact of mastery, you know, and I know that's a big part of the appeal for people who love these games. With auto mapping and coming at from a modern game set, it just felt weird. I just kind of felt kind of kicked in the teeth for going and exploring stuff. And then when I realized I didn't have to, I was like, well, I could go forward, but I'll get killed. So I guess I just have to find a grinding loop. You know, I know where to go. I just can't go there yet. Let's just run around this second level of the catacombs forever, you know, until I get enough levels, until I run out of YouTubes to watch.
Yeah.
Like I ran out of YouTubes to have in the background. I totally caught up on YouTube. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I cached 3 seasons of Archer playing this game.
It's a weird way to like launder other media into your brain. You know, like, and I understand that's again a logical conclusion of the appeal of a lot of these games for folk. Like throw on a podcast, you know, we talk about podcast games, throw on another form of entertainment. This was stretching for me my limits of that.
Yes. Yeah. And just the spaces, I'm going to say they don't feel designed. That is probably mean and it's inaccurate. Somebody made them. They were not made for interest. They were not made to, you know, hide a particular challenge or to test you in any way. It is space as friction.
Yes.
You know, if you look at, you know, just go on GameFAQs and look at the very helpful maps that they have there, you will see, you know, the icons for stuff and just the, it is very incident not dense, let's say.
Yes.
There's no density of incident to this.
They're mazes.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why I don't like mazes in a general sense, is I associate them with this kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, even in games I like, you know, like the worst dungeon in Baldur's Gate, like the Thieves' Maze.
Yeah.
It's awful. And the reason it's awful is it's just a maze. The first dungeon you go into in this place is a wine cellar, and it's absurd. Like this bar has like a multi-level super complex, like the wine district that it was built on top of. You know, it makes no sense as a space. There's a little bit of atmosphere because you're crawling around in the dark.
Yeah.
You know, but not a sense of atmosphere that you can map onto a metaphor or anything, or a map onto any kind of reality to role play it. At least for me.
It's not fungible. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you navigate by squares, you know, you're going 90 degrees and turning and stuff like that. Stepping onto a new square might spring a trap, on you, either damage or status effects, you know, either the entire party or just one. Sometimes you get a message, you know, these are clues, most often. So you want to be making notes of these. These are updated on the auto map in the trilogy as well. So you can just mouse over that and get a tooltip of what was there, which is cool.
Yeah.
Or you might activate some kind of special effect. And by special effect, I mean always negative.
Yeah. Teleport traps, baby.
Ooh, we're in the thick of it, man.
Yeah. You think they'd leave those behind? Just thinking back to Phantasy Star 2 and all the teleporter traps within.
Phantasy Star 2 was 6 years after this, my dude.
I know. No, that's what I'm saying, though, is that like you have 6 years to learn.
Yeah.
Teleporter traps fucking suck. I know that was still both were a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But come on, man. Like, who's that fun for? The best case scenario for a teleporter trap is like you get lost and you're disoriented. And if I squint my eyes, I can see the use case. Like, oh, I'm in so much danger. Like, how do I get back?
Yeah.
It just requires a degree of role playing and immersion that I cannot summon in this kind of thing. It just ends up being frustrating to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you were doing your own mapping rather than auto mapping,
you start a new map and then you have to reconcile it. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a kind of challenge, but it's a kind of challenge where you're constantly being interrupted.
Yeah.
While you're doing it, you're constantly fighting because there are a lot of encounters in this game.
I mean, they'll happen randomly on a timer, so don't just sit there and answer a text on your phone.
There's a pause button in this, and you have to use it if you want to.
Or when you step on specific encounter tiles, which will always spawn the same specific kind of group of enemies.
Yes, this is where 69 whites hang out. They're not going to move.
It's ridiculous. Or just like later, like 120 hobbits.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I walked into a tennis neighborhood. Yeah. I stumbled into a tennis tournament of hobbits. No.
Yeah. It's the Hobbit Olympics these days. Yeah, it's like here's 73 gnomes. They're always here. They always hang out. Just fucking the crew. Absolute dream blunt rotation. 73 hobbits. It's very funny. So those are specific things. Those will become the cornerstone of your grinding strat.
Yes.
Combat is displayed in text. There are little character portraits for your characters and for the monsters. Mm-hmm. I love these.
Oh, they're so good.
I find these so charming. The updated ones that they did to because the original version of this you could not play a lady character. We'll talk. We should probably talk about character creation real quick at some point.
Yeah.
It's brief, but you couldn't make a lady until Bard's Tale 3. They ended up making new portraits, so you could, and they made them in the same old style.
Yep.
And like it's just very admirable to make this kind of absolutely dorky art without it coming off as like self-conscious or winky.
Yeah, I like like all of the art, like you can look at these comparisons, comparison videos that people have made on YouTube. All of the art is paint overs of the original sprite work. So like all of the gonkiness of them and all of just the strange decisions that were made by these people at Interplay, they were lovingly rendered in like Clip Studio Pro.
I love how every critter looks in this.
Yeah.
It makes me very happy. Just because I want to make sure we cover it. Character creation in this is random dice rolls. No weighting the stats, no assigning.
Yeah.
You can re-roll as often as you want, but they are random.
Right.
This is also like super archaic, and I'm sure there are people who have like a lot of nostalgia for that. What it means though is just re-rolling over and over.
Yeah.
Later games that want to have this lineage will usually include some kind of quality of life things, like being able to borrow points, distribute stats after the fact. Or if you see a pretty good roll, you can save it, bank it, and then keep rolling. And then you can bring that one back if you get sick of it. Not so here. You're just going to keep re-rolling until you get your 18 constitution, 18 strength for your fighter or whatever.
Yeah. So just it's a click tax is what it is. Yeah. And then you're selecting class and then race as well. So
and race determines maximums for stats.
That's so fucked up.
Yeah.
Sorry. It just
it's a very common thing in role playing games. But
I know.
It's the kind of eugenics that we just dealt with.
I'm aware of the lineage, but it's just once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, once you say it, it's a very it's no good.
Yeah,
it's very phrenology based.
Oh man.
Back to combat. So you have these beautiful portraits. Everything is in text, and it's turn based. You input the commands for your whole party in order. Then the round plays out. with speed stats. So there's kind of an initiative, but you don't know this before making your decisions.
Mm-hmm. The speed ends up being the thing that will win most of your of your encounters. Which is just can my sorcerer get off Mangar's Mind Blade quickly enough? Yeah.
Yep. We hate Mangar, but we still will use his Mind Blade.
How ironic.
How ironic, and yet you live in a Mangar. That's how you're going to grind and have it be not miserable. Right. Sorcerer always goes first. You're pretty happy.
Yeah.
You know, the enemies are stacked in groups there. So there'll be like one group will be 7 hobbits or 17 hobbits or 73 hobbits. And you just kind of wear them down similar to a Heroes of Might and Magic unit stack.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then there will be different groups. So all the hobbits will hang out together. All the ninjas will hang out in a second group. they are having a party of some kind, but they will sometimes they'll all be right up at you. You know, they'll show their distance.
Yeah.
You know, and then they'll be spaced out there. So 20, 30 feet. And on your spells and everything will show you the range, effective range and maximum range.
Right. The distance thing was added later. This is absolutely necessary for this. Otherwise, that's the only thing that, keeps it from being tappa the entire time. Right.
It's still pretty tappa.
It's extremely tappa.
Yeah. But it's like, it's 99% tappa instead of 100% tappa.
What I love about just kind of the tacit admission of tappa in the the options, which are, they do mouse friendly controls, which is, they don't move around the options for characters where stuff isn't available. So just like they know you're going to be hovering over a spot and then just
hammering on it. Just left click, go and just because like what else are you gonna do when you run to 73 hobbits?
I gotta start somewhere.
It's
oh man,
oh, shit.
Yeah. You can spend a turn to advance if you would like, but doing that will leave you open for enemies.
Depending on the enemy.
Yes.
Yeah. So every once in a while you'll get these encounters that feel very like kind of cinematic to me, where the melee people will be in the back row and I'll be away and we just like walk towards each other.
Yeah.
And just like, what'd you say? I said it, you better shut me up. I'll shut you up good. It just kind of, jets and sharks until you, click on each other until you die.
Yeah. Or you can gamble like, hey, if these melee enemies are, the 20 feet away, I can queue in an attack in the hopes that they're going to close the distance for me by the time that attack goes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and if it doesn't happen, nothing really happens.
Right.
It's kind of a cool choice. And then also, but it's,
I'm going to stand on this side of the room and swing my arms.
Yeah. And then the 73 gnomes either walk forward into the range of your arms or they stand there like, and don't. It's silly.
Yeah. So after each battle, your party is going to gain experience. It's split evenly among those who are still alive, Pokemon style. And you're also going to get money.
Tons of money.
A lot of money. Money becomes it is so important early on when you're paying for healing, when you are paying for revives on stats and stuff. Later on, fuck it, I don't care.
It's all it is.
Yeah.
It's really, it's interesting. And then sometimes there'll be a treasure chest, specifically in dungeons. Yeah. There'll be treasure chest. They're almost always trapped. You want to trap zap them or have a rogue, and it'll show you the percentage that your rogue has to successfully disarm the trap. We talked about the mazes. We talked about all these different, kind of gimmicks that the dungeons have. There are ones for each dungeon. That are kind of different, but there's not a lot of variety. And it cannot be stressed enough. Like there are 5 dungeons, like kind of 4.5 in this. And that's it. Like you go to the dungeons, you go to get the clue to go to the next dungeon. And then that is it.
Yes. On paper, it is a very short, very simple game.
Yes.
Yeah. Like of the dungeons, like, looking at the identity, the Kyle Arn's Tower, I think is the most interesting because that is, like puzzle maze stuff. It's cool. This is exactly what I want from this kind of game.
Yes.
But everything else, I found a term in one of the guides that I looked at, just referencing like, hey, what should I be prepared for in this place? Just to reduce friction, right? And there was a term that came up that is one of the most damning, just like nuclear phraselets I have ever heard, which is, this is going to be a bit of a patience puzzle.
Yeah.
It's not interesting. It's not hard. It's just gonna like defy you to sit there and continue doing it.
And again, I would argue that's a lot of the genre.
Yes.
Me being on my bullshit, but I think it's true. Whenever you have like a grindy lot of encounters that don't do anything, it is a patience puzzle.
Yeah.
Like, can you get through it? Can you tolerate it? How itchy are you feeling to be engaged?
Yes.
With, or are you watching YouTube in the background, or are you stopping to map, which I'm sure would actually help a lot, in terms of breaking up the rhythm, or are you a sicko who can pretend, who can round up the atmosphere,
right,
to a degree that I no longer have the antibodies for, and I am an old, PC game guy. This is just too far, for me in that way. Yeah. The dungeons are huge. Like, not only do you just go, we say there's only 3 of them, they're really big, and you have to make all those runs because your spell points will run out.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. This gets easier later on when you learn the spell Apport Arcane, which is teleportation. However, there are certain floors where Apport Arcane cannot be used. Same thing with the phase portal, which lets you make a door in a wall. It's cool that they give you that. But they will take it away when you need to. Neat thing is you can teleport from floor to floor. You just cannot teleport to a floor where it's forbidden to you.
Yes, there are anti-teleporter shields. It's one of the features of the things. You can teleport, and then there'll be like force fields you can't teleport into.
Yes,
basically.
Yeah.
There are a couple of puzzles in the game, not very many. Where you had to find a password or solve a riddle. This is cool. It's welcome. I don't know how welcome it would be without like bright lights and dark shadows.
Right.
I don't know how these would hold up if they weren't, if it wasn't fucking starving.
It's real. Like the difficulty of them is on the level of the chunky game show. Served hot or cold, if left out, it will grow mold.
From a cow's udder. Yes, exactly. This red condiment can be put on French fries or burgers. It's a chunky. There's just not enough chunkies. I guess chunky is just the 73 gnomes.
Yeah, there are so many chunkies.
Yeah,
I body slammed 400 of them in the castle, dude.
It's like oops, all chunkies. The aesthetics, at the time, very impressive. Now charming, and I hate that word. It doesn't spend with other people, but I sincerely I find it charming. Which is all I can say. Like, I find it quaint and cute.
Yeah.
I love the graphics. I love the big beardo singing the intro song to you. Like, all that stuff is very sweet.
You gotta at least look at the opening of Bard's Tale 4, which recreates that scene in FMV with a guy with a guy wearing the fakest beard you've ever seen. It's a Nathan For You fake beard.
That's excellent. I love that. That gets me.
Yeah.
There's this will be a quick episode because there's no real narrative to this game. It's not a story game. There's an evil wizard. The town's full of fucking monsters, and that's it. Go fight the wizard.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether or not that is acceptable to you, fine. I kind of don't miss it, and especially in lieu of getting a worse. Okay, you asked for a story, let's get a real 1985 ass story in here. Kind of deal. And it's just kind of, I don't know, it doesn't feel necessary for this kind of game to have wheels. Right.
It reminds me of like Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
In terms of stuff that I played, that were the early RPGs I played. Like, I wasn't looking for a story in Dragon Quest either.
Right.
There's just a guy. Go fight him.
Right. Yeah. I don't know where to put this, but in reading about it, this is a game that came out in the era of really cool clue books.
You can find it online. Like I was reading about it or reading it.
It's so you could buy this. It is a first person journal that was written by a visiting dignitary who got caught in Skara Brae when the winter came down, who almost succeeded in getting to Mangar. And then he passes it down to somebody who is presumed to be you. So like it is written in first person with like lore and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Written it, and characters relate to each other. Mm-hmm. Like the dignitary has a thief with him. He's like, the thief is eyeing this new treasure I've got and stuff like this. All these things that, like, again, the ideal use case for this is this stuff's going on in your head.
Right.
And that is how old CRPGs wanted you to think.
Yeah. You're not just designing your party for, mechanics, but it's like, just, you got these group of people together. What's implied by that?
I'm going to role play big time.
Yes.
Yeah. The Bard's Tale began development as Tales of the Unknown. Yeah. And this was the third game that created by Interplay. Interplay was founded in 1983. Mm-hmm. The guy behind this is this guy named Michael Cranford. Designed and programmed this game, inspired by Dungeons and Dragons, which he used to play with Interplay's founder, Brian Fargo.
Right.
I cannot recommend. I could not get to download because it is in the weird archives. Mm-hmm. An old Retronauts, Jeremy Paris did an interview with Michael Cranford that I remember that was really interesting.
Yeah.
I get an error every time I try to listen to it.
Oh no.
On either the public or Patreon feed, which makes me think that it's just old, and there's some kind of thing. But I remember listening to that and it being really interesting. Mm-hmm. So recommended, and shout out to those guys.
I'm kind of surprised that Jeremy went in on an old PC. He
does it. Jeremy's expanding his horizons, like very old stuff, but he's been doing a lot of weird old PC RPG stuff. Like he doesn't really play them. Mm-hmm. He just has been doing interviews and talking about them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. It's real neat.
Yeah. So the goal in making this was to address shortcomings that they saw. They liked the genre, but the big temple example of it, Wizardry had real rudimentary graphics. You go back and look at the original Wizardry, just on Apple computers, not even Macintosh. Like it's pretty rough. They wanted to kind of bring a little bit more, fit and polish to it, and also to bring music and sound and stuff. To make this a little bit more of a spectacle, and they succeeded on that count. It's actually kind of weird to go and look at a video of people playing the original Apple version of this game. I think of the Apple II, I think of Oregon Trail. I think of, really basic lemonade stand stuff. I know there's more than just that on those, but like to see a game this lush and to see specifically the transitions creating this kind of appearance of a 3D animated world when you move around, it's a neat effect, and I could see being fucking blown away by it.
Yeah, a huge showstopper. Really neat thing that happened in this. In the original version, the only music that played were when Bard songs were playing. Mm-hmm. So not only did it have music, but it had diegetic music.
That's so good.
That's real clever. Like I love that little touch. Somebody in your party has to play music. It reminds me of Maniac Mansion, where they on the NES, where they're carrying around the boombox, and the implication is each character is carrying around their own boombox. Not even implication. Like there's other music as well that would play in that game. But it reminds that's such a neat idea.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine the atmosphere changing. You're super deep in to a big dungeon. Your mage might be dead, so you got to walk out. Your bard is dead, so suddenly it's eerily quiet.
Yeah, or your bard is thirsty, and you're like, "Hey, man, play. Can you please play that fucking lute?" And he's like, "No, can do. Need a beer, brother."
Tommy needy drinky.
Like between the gnomes and the Bernie Bros, 73 Bernie Bros pop up on the. They always hang out in this square, the red square. But yeah, Barty, you might need drinky. And then you can't. There's this idea of like the soundtrack cutting out and it being really spooky.
Yeah. A neat idea. This required all kinds of technical trickery from a memory perspective. A lot of this was accomplished because of this advanced data compression developer tools that are credited to Rebecca Heinemann.
Yeah, who you may not recall this, but we've met Rebecca Heinemann.
Have we?
Yeah, Rebecca Heinemann was at PRGE.
I do remember this. She came up. Yeah. This was around the time that the remaster was being done, right?
Yeah. Might have been promoting as such. But yeah, we met Rebecca Heinemann.
Oh, that's great.
Retro Gaming Expo.
Yeah, thank you for jogging my memory about that.
Yeah, she's neat. Mm-hmm. So because there's all this technical trickery, because of that, some weird game functions are attributed to that, because the memory can only keep track of the party state, not the world state. So what's really interesting is that when you save the game, you're just saving your party. The world is static. Mm-hmm. This is why the dungeons are what they are. This is why there are no bosses or climactic encounters in the dungeon. And if there are, they'll just reset.
Yes.
If there's something that's kind of positioned a little bit like a boss, like this, 173 gnomes, that will always be there. It's not like you beat it as a function of a climax of the boss. They couldn't do that.
Right. You can just go back and body the statue of the mad god as many times as you would like.
Yes.
Yeah. There was conflict and interplay that arose between Cranford, Heinemann, and Fargo, kind of over this late contract that was put out there that they tried to get him to sign. This resulted in Cranford leading the company to pursue theological studies after the Bard's Tale 2, and Heinemann stepped up to lead the Bard's Tale 3.
Yeah, which has interesting plot stuff. Yeah. Both the Bard's Tale 2 and the Bard's Tale 3 have a lot more plot. So if anybody, hey, you guys are complaining about this not having a plot, it's all in the sequels. Well, I played this for a long time and I don't know. That's cool, but
2 is way too long and a huge slog even for people who love the series, is my understanding.
You also import your characters into 2. So it starts off just piss easy. So it's long and sloggy, but not challenging at all.
Right. And
it's one of those things where if you're going to be tappa, sloggy, you have to at least be a little bit hard. Yeah. Or really what is there,
Yeah. And also I'm not complaining about there not being a plot, really.
No, for this, it's appropriate. I would have preferred a bit more, spice to it. As is, it would be the kind of thing that I think I would like more in a non-historical context.
Yes. Yeah. So the game was quickly ported to several other systems, lots of other PCs. There's a Commodore 64 version that's apparently very good. There's a stripped back version for the NES, which is apparently really awful. Yeah, if folks are to be believed. And the game got 2 sequels, like we said, over the course of the 80s. And there was even a Bard's Tale construction set that came out in 1991, which sounds like would have been a very fun time.
Yeah. My Unlimited Adventures, the D&D one, was always the one I played with. But that idea of you do your series and then put out a game that lets you make your own that comes with an adventure. And it was a great part of early PC gaming. It was really fun. Rebecca Heinemann tried several times to make and release the Bard's Tale 4, was thwarted by these legal complications, various cancellations and such. A 4th game did come out, an official, before the Bard's Tale 4 that came out recently, came out in 1989, but it had to be retitled Dragon Wars D-War for legal reasons.
Right. Yeah. Which is a bummer. This became kind of weirdly a media property. There were 8 Bard's Tale novels that came out in the 90s, and when they kickstarted Bard's Tale 4, they just threw in hey, we'll write 6 more.
Of this, we have a voracious audience. You find 778 Bard's Tale novels hanging out in the square.
Yeah. So just if that sounds cool to you, it's there.
I could see those being cool.
Yeah.
There's nothing inherently wrong with Scarabray or the mythology and stuff of this. It's a little generic, but depending on the writer, I bet you those are fun.
Yeah. It just it kind of seems like Pot Boiler, of fantasy kind of stuff, which I can be in the mood for. Yeah.
When the Forgotten Realms are a little bit too out there. That's when you get to Greyhawk, baby.
Yeah, man, they're Humble released this huge. They released those book collections. They had 30 Forgotten Realms books. I just end up looking at that and I'm I don't know, man. It's got a little bit of Homer's Rotten Hoagie appeal.
Are they novels or source books?
Novels. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh boy. Yeah. That is a rotten hoagie you can get yourself into right there. It's this hole is not quite made for me, but I'll
find a way.
If I break enough bones, I can make it work.
If I didn't have these damn arms, I could slip it.
It's like sleeping. The series was dormant for a while. In 2004, The Bard's Tale came out. This is the action RPG that is a parody of role-playing games and is not great about women. This is developed by Brian Fargo's new company, In Exile. Love In Exile. They do a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
The 2004 Bard's Tale also got re-released in a re-snarkled edition or something.
Yeah.
I'm certain that's like the most like lol bacon nonsense that's ever been. I started that game and then could not keep playing it because I got frustrated and irritated by it. But maybe it's good. I don't know.
So see us talking about the Dungeons and Dragons movie, right? Like funny fantasy is good. Fantasy that tries to be funny by making fun of fantasy. I don't know, man.
Less good.
Yeah,
absolutely less good.
So in dormant again until 2017, there was The Mage's Tale, which is a VR game that I kind of want to check out. I didn't know that existed. VR dungeon crawler sounds cool to me. But then they got a proper fourth entry in the series with Bard's Tale 4. It was kickstarted and released in 2018. People love this game, and I can see why. I fired it up and played like the tutorial for it earlier today. And it seems really cool. Like there's a very simple grid-based combat kind of deal. You know, it's real-time 3D. And there are all kinds of options. Like it starts with an assumption that you want to play kind of a modern game. And you can choose how much sicko shit you want to subject yourself to.
Sprinkle onto it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely curious about that. You know, do you know, I haven't done a lot of research or reading into it. Do you know if Rebecca Heineman is involved?
I think that she was involved on a technical standpoint when they kickstarted it. I believe that she has her own company. She's not at In Exile. They subcontracted her company. That's like Old School with a bunch of old timey letters.
KEWL, right?
Old SKUU, each with an umlaut L, Old School.
Okay.
Yeah. But they contracted her to do the remaster trilogy for it. Yes.
I'm just glad she was able to be involved after trying, to do that for so long. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. And like we said, this is in terms of like episode length to play length. I can stress this enough, and I aim to stress this enough. We're going to go through this really quickly. It is not a quick game.
Yeah.
By the standards of these, it's relatively quick. You can beat the first one in 15, 20 hours. You're going to me, at least you're going to feel those 15, 20 hours.
Yeah.
Because you are just going to fight. So I cannot stress this enough. I don't think you should play this. If you are a real sicko for these, sure, but it is just, it does some neat things. Read about it. Read about it. Like all these old games are so much better to read about than to play.
Oh man, I fired up that I went back to that Bitmap Books, the PC RPG, the one that you have an article in about Alter Ego. But just to kind of read about this and just like, I don't know, it's been a while since I've read about the antecedents to this. So just kind of acquainted myself there. And even like the JRPG book that they have has some good context as well. Cause that has like articles and sections and history about kind of like how those genre tropes were pulled.
How wizardry created.
Yeah. And Black Blade or whatever it was. Yeah.
I started, I had read it off and on for a long time, but I started a reread from the beginning of the CRPG Addict, that blog. And that's been really, really fun.
Yeah.
For this kind of getting this context. He's a lot more friendly to a lot of these than I am, enjoys the mapping, enjoys all that stuff. Like my shame, like you name your characters in this. And that would be a powerful avenue for role playing, but I would be lying if it wasn't like Smite Dar, shoot dar, sing dar, heal dar, and zap dar. No,
guys, I had puncha, conja, slasha.
Exactly. It was very impossible to do that. He takes it real seriously, and it's real fun to read. Consequently, huge shout out to that blog, by the way. Well recommended. And all those bitmap books, every single one of them that isn't a pure art book, and those have their own specific appeal, but every single one of them that hasn't been an art book has been incredible.
Oh yeah.
I'm Too Young to Die, like FPS one is really good. The Brawlers one is really great. Really, really special publisher.
The book of like forgotten Mac games, just like there are a whole bunch of games that you have never seen because they were on the original Macintosh.
On the Mac. Yep. Yeah. Really, really good stuff. The Games That Weren't is also published by those people, like all of this book on canceled games. I love that publisher. I'll buy everything they do.
Yeah. We'll do a free ad for this company.
They're really good. It would be fun. Like, I don't know, man. I could almost see like doing a special episode on those and like reading a bunch of them and kind of talking about the experience of like charting a genre that way. It's different than Crontendo or NES Works or something because it's genre specific. So you end up getting a really different sense. It's like the Hardcore 101 things, which makes sense because very similar lineages. But every one of those books is a fucking treasure. One of my most prized possessions.
Love them. Got a huge big shelf of them.
Yep, absolutely adore them. Let's get into it.
Let's do. We open with the beefy bard singing his tale of darkness coming and the hero mounting up the force to fight back. For blood and treasure and money and all of that.
Yeah, the price men did pay.
The price men did pay. And we get an opening scroll telling us this
dying and being brought back to life conservatively 100 times. Like
one of those times is going to come back with a dark passenger.
Yeah. Just the price I did pay, which was killing 73 gnomes so many times and hearing them say the names of their wives and daughters as they slayed them.
It's like the episode of Sunny where Charlie needs a vacation. Comes up from the basement with his rat stick and you start wondering, is there a difference between them and us?
The end of that where they go through his journal.
That's so good.
Like Vermhat teeth. Vermhat. Oh no, this is Vermhat. He's a German who gets in all these problems. Anywho, so we get and then we get an opening scroll that tells us about the evil wizard Mangar the Dark came to Scarabray and froze it with a spell of eternal winter. What a dick. Because of this, evil monsters took over, and all that was left was for a ragtag group of adventurers to take back the town, which we are their leader.
Right. And we begin at the Adventurers Guild with no real clue of where to go. This is a hint that would be given to you in the manual of where to find the first dungeon. It was that hint was missing from the Commodore 64 version. So like you had to figure this shit out yourself.
Incredible.
And I ended up wandering around kind of clueless about where to go. And what to do, just kind of filling in the map of the streets of Scarabray, something that is very funny when you look on GameFAQs, because eventually I broke and I was like, all right, so I need to get to a dungeon, actually. None of the guides tell you specifically what you need to do. There's like this weird omerta about the solutions to these puzzles.
Well, it's funny because if you're playing the modern version, you're mapping the streets and you're breaking into houses. The houses are empty, 1 square rooms. In the original version, there are monsters in them.
Yeah.
That's it. Like there's monsters in the streets, monsters in the houses.
And in the sheets.
And in the sheets and at the sheets, getting a big gulp. There's also, in the remake version, there's sometimes treasure in the houses, but then also sometimes hints. And one of the hints just straight up tells you what to do.
Yes.
At least on the remaster version. So like guides won't tell you, but the game does, as long as you're not playing on sicko mode.
Right. Yeah.
You want to go through all the houses because you want to get all this treasure. And basically exploring the town and hitting every square on it is a good way to level up to a good level to hit the dungeon.
Right. The way that the town is kind of laid out, you're never terribly far from either a bar or a temple.
Yes.
If you need a heal. So it is a nice low stakes way to get your first like 3 or so levels, which will set you up very nicely for the wine cellar, but also get money to go spend, to go buy kind of basic starting equipment at Garth's. Everybody's basically naked when they roll out of the Adventurers Guild /womb. Yeah.
In the remastered version, at the very least, there are pre-created characters that start as level 2 and fully geared up. In the original version, a hack was to take them into your party, steal all their stuff, and then put them, dump them back
out of the street. Yeah,
then kick them back at the Adventurers Guild. Like, go take a nap. You know, it's safe there. You don't really need to do that in this one, especially with the treasures in the houses.
Right.
You find all the stuff you can buy. There's not an economy in this game so much. Like, you early on when you're in the town, you're getting all this money because you die all the time, and you have to heal up and get resurrected and such. But you can buy out Garth's very early on.
Yeah.
Everyone has the best stuff you can buy from Garth. Garth never updates his inventory.
No.
Everything else you're going to scrounge from these dungeons.
Right. But you find these hints. One of them says, a taste of wine might turn to ready adventure. And I thought that they were just being...
It's the second line of Baby It's Cold Outside. You fucking creep.
It'd be a shame if something were to happen. Yeah. I didn't read this as a hint of what I was supposed to do. I figured it was just telling me like, oh, go to the bars and, drink to get your spells back or your songs back, but also pay these bartenders to get rumors. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You can get hints as a classic CRPG thing. I like when you order drinks, you can order a ginger ale. It's the cheapest one, and money is no object at this point. You know, they cost nothing. And the message when you drink a ginger ale is no one is impressed. It's this powerful anti-teetotaler message in the Bard's Tale. Like, nobody like that.
Everybody groaned at your shit.
Yeah. So the way you do this is certain parts of the town are blocked off by statues and gates. The south end of the town, there's a samurai statue blocking the gate. You might be a little bit surprising for Skara Brae, but they do have a samurai statue. When you walk up to the statue, it turns into a samurai that you must kill. I was expecting this to be very hard.
Same.
And it's not. It's just a guy. You just punch him.
Just a dude. There's like 6 of you.
Yeah. The turn economy so works out in your favor.
Yeah.
Once you do that, there's a very special inn that sells wine. Even if you didn't have the hint, you could go to that drinking menu and see for the first time that wine is on the menu. When you order it, the bartender says, hey, go get your own bottle from the cellar. And you go into the wine cellar, the absurdly spacious wine cellar.
Right. And the wine cellar part of this, like this is the first floor of the sewers, basically.
Yes.
And this is very simple for you. There are kind of 4 quadrants to it. A few, encounter squares, but nothing that huge, just mostly like a handful of hobbits, a couple of, orcs, half orcs, etc. There is one trap up in the northeast, and it is a poison trap. And this is likely before you have any of the like flesh restore spells that will
it's a level 4
dispel that. Yeah.
Yeah. Which means you have to be at level 6, I think, for that, or 7. You have to be pretty high level.
Yes.
For that. Level 3 gets you level 2 spells. 5 gets you 3. Yeah.
Yes.
So 7 gets you 4. That's pretty high up. So you can't cure poison. It just means, again, there are these things that interrupt the rhythm. They're just constantly forcing you to, like, the enforced rhythm. It's the kind of thing when we were guessing why they made you level up at the Emerald Herald in Dark Souls 2. The idea was like, oh, they wanted to enforce a rhythm of going home.
Right.
This does that as well, but it does it in a really irritating way.
Yeah.
There's a spinner square in the center. It ruins your bearings. Spins the map. No good.
I just picture stepping on it, and a guy comes and just picks you up under the arms, and then turns you. Whoa!
Yeah. They put a blindfold on you and make you pin the tail on the 73 gnomes. There's
We're gonna be here all day.
That's the gnome.
Yes.
They're caster enemies that will inflict the stats effect on you, which reduces all your stats to 1. Also, go back to town.
Yep.
Thing. There are enemies here once you go to the sewers with the second level, Black Widow spiders. They poison you. Go back to town. All of these things are go back to town.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah. More accurately, run from this fight and make up the experience somewhere else when you're grinding.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's worth noting you can run pretty easily.
Yes.
I think you start with a base chance of 75% chance to run, and a rogue I think improves that in this. I didn't take one, but 75% is pretty good.
Yeah.
And you can try again. You just have to deal with a round of combat.
Right. Yeah. This is where areas of darkness get added. It is darker than dark. So it'll snuff out any light source or spell that you have active to take care of that. Bummer.
Yep. Level 1 and 2 of the sewers, which are under this wine cellar, are bigger and mazier and have a lot more encounters, a lot more dead ends. Be a great place to put treasure chest. Just choosing not to.
Right.
There.
And here we get to a weird thing about the map design, which is I think that all of these dungeons are just interlinked toruses.
Yeah.
Which is they loop. They loop at east and west, and they loop at north and south. Which I could see being a real bear if you were trying to hand map them.
Yeah.
Because
you have to recognize the geometry. There's nothing visual to recognize.
Right.
They're just geometry. There aren't landmarks. Every once in a while there are doors or rooms, but it's really just the shape of a room.
Right. Yeah. So that becomes kind of a factor in navigation is like there is no direct way to get there, but if I go off the edge of the map, it will get me to this other kind of place that would have been inaccessible if I tried to go directly.
Think Pac-Man maps.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah. A clue at a dead end gives you a solution to a problem on the second level. It says pass the light at night. That there's a square that you cannot pass because there is a bright beam of light there. You just have to wait until it is nighttime, which could be a while.
Yeah. Level 2 also has the first teleporter trap. We complain about those. I hate these. This one sends you to the sequestered little area. The only exit is an illusory wall. There are spells. There are the same way there is things that are darker than dark. There are lights that are lighter than light that also show illusory walls. Like you have torch and then you have like power torch that you do.
Yeah.
That's how you get out of here.
Yep. And eventually you get something like Sorcerer's Eyes or Sorcerer's Sight or something like that. That won't just reveal illusory walls, but will actually like identify, visually and warn you, what's ahead of you. So like spinners will be little vortexes that you see and stuff.
Yeah. There are floor and ceiling portals that you can go through, but you need to have levitate for those, which you'll get later. And you start getting better equipment here, mithril equipment. Which will carry you for the big middle of this game, basically.
Yeah. A message here gives you a clue for something way later. Talks about Thor being the greatest son of Odin. This is a solution to get to solve a minor puzzle later on to get a recruitable little like ogre guy. It's supposed to be Thor.
Yeah. You reach you have that ray of light that you have to pass with that puzzle. And then you reach a room with a mouth on the wall that speaks the name of a man.
Every time one of these shows up, I just clap. It's so good. I love a mouth on a wall.
Yeah. They're real good. It sucks because in real life, people would fuck them. Like a mouth on the wall.
I shouldn't have taken a drink.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. It's a very obvious joke, but it's very funny too.
No, it's not even a joke. It's just a fucking sad state of affairs. Like, I think it's true though, right? I think about it all the time with the knockers on Labyrinth.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, there's literally no way that mouth wouldn't just be full of dicks like 24/7. Like it sucks, man.
It does. That's why they do it.
Yeah. We're just the knockers. This thing, it tells you the name Tarjan. This guy who declared himself the god of Scarabray. And his image is locked in stone until he was made whole again. And they specifically mention that he is mad.
Yes.
When you go to the temple district, it's set up as like a city block in a square with a fountain. 3 of the 4 walls of the city block are just identical temples full of monk guys who will heal you.
I love the monks. I love it's really good. They just all stand there staring at you with their hoods disappointed.
Yeah, they're red robed. But the bottom one is those guys, and they're like, you must speak the name of the mad god.
Right.
To get through here. So this has taught us how to get in the second dungeon.
Yes.
Tarjan.
Yeah.
Tarjan.
I've got no idea how you say it. It actually is. It is said in Bard's Tale 4, but I didn't pay attention to that earlier today.
Yeah,
how it's pronounced. Level 3 of the sewers is kind of a trap. The exit down there will take you up to the base of Mangar's tower, but there is no way into it. You need a key.
And again, because of the weird way the level design works, we've already gotten what we need from this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that name. Like the only thing you get, a couple like puzzle clues, but they're not, you could have probably figured them out.
Yeah.
And then you got this name to go into the second dungeon. That's the only point of this dungeon.
Yes.
This whole thing is just to get the name Tarjan or Tarjan.
And also to provide a lot of, just extraneous friction.
Yes.
So you will gain experience and gold.
Yes.
The second of which doesn't matter.
Yeah. Narratively, the only thing you're doing is getting this name. You're really going to be grinding, but it doesn't matter where you grind. The experience in gold, it spends anywhere.
Yes.
It's just very strange to have that be the function of this thing. And it's a function of it only saving your characters.
Yes.
It had to be information that you get at the end of this because it couldn't be a switch that toggled.
Right.
It doesn't have if then statements for events like that. It's a clever workaround, but it's maddening. It's a clever workaround for 1985. Like if I were forced to program this on, 7 bytes on a floppy, that's what I do. That's a good solution. Yeah. So we go to the catacombs. We go to the temple district and go into the bad church, and we say the name Tarjan, and they let us into the catacombs.
Right. And this is where I spent the majority of the time in the game, not just because it is where you can do the best grinding in this version, but just because this is really big and it's difficult. You're still, for the majority of this, you don't really have a lot of the abilities that would let you go, teleport your way back or to deal with some of these setbacks. You're still in the rhythm, the enforced rhythm of going and checking in.
It's a great place to do a lot of that grinding because when you leave, you're right in the temple district, which is right next to the guy who recharges your spells and identifies stuff.
Yeah.
So it's also good for that. I also spend almost all my time in the catacombs.
Yes.
They're full of undead here that we fight. There used to be a power leveling spot in the original version of this where you fought 4 groups of 99 barbarians each.
That was in the castle. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. This game doesn't have that. That was the main power leveling place. This is kind of where you have to try to do it.
Yeah. Even this had a power leveling place where you fought like 80 whites.
Yes.
Something like that. But that is not a repeatable encounter here. So you've got to cobble together like these longer runs of larger groups of folks. So like on the second level there, or no, on level 1, I guess, there's places where you can find like 66 skeletons, 12 whites, just doing a circuit of this place over and over again.
Yep, you run laps. The reason why those were doable, like why 99 barbarians is a weird quirk of the targeting and spellcasting in this game.
Yeah.
Where because a group can be any size and things either affect all enemies, one group of enemies, or one enemy. If it affects all enemies, it doesn't matter how many groups of how many enemies. If they're low HP, you can just kill them.
Yeah.
You Mangar's Mind Blade them, or you Fire Breath, a group in your sorcerer's speed is high enough, or your wizard's speed is high enough, and then you can just take them out before they get a move.
Yes.
And that is what makes it a power level zone.
Yeah. You're going to want a power level because you end up finding stuff that has real problems. Things will age you. Again, we talked about that. Status effect, but also higher level
drain.
Yeah, you get level drain, baby. You got vampires and specters that will take away tens of minutes of progress.
Yeah, everything everyone hates.
Yeah,
from old school RPGs, teleporter traps, level drain, like all of that shit. Nobody likes that. Everyone groans at your shit, man. Yeah. Like it's just this stuff should have stayed in the past. There's an old school sicko mindset that can still like them because of consequence.
Yes.
Like if the idea is, this adds a lot of tension, I might lose a level. That's actually really valuable to me. I would counter that's not that interesting because the only thing anything can cost is that patience puzzle.
Yeah.
All it can cost is time. Yeah. If the only currency I can spend is time, it doesn't matter what you're doing to me. Because the answer is always the same, and I have the answer as much of it as I'm willing to give. It's only limited by the Reaper.
Yeah, you have taken from me the only resource I can never get back.
Yeah,
you have taken my time.
Yeah, I have a finite amount of it. It's the most important and most fungible thing in the world. But if I got it, I can afford it. Everyone alive can afford it. Technically. No.
Wow.
So, yeah. Those things suck. The catacombs has a mandatory trap that you have to go through. You can't go around it. You have to trap zap it.
Yeah.
So you have to see it either through one of those spells or know it's there in Cast Trap Zap, which doesn't just work on chest. It also works 30 feet in front of you, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it will take out multiple traps if they're in a row, which is a nice little affordance. You start getting good gear here. Not just mithril and stuff, but like things that have special effects. Of very important note is the bard sword, which equipping that in your bard gives them unlimited songs at the expense of not having one of the other special bard weapons that will let them do cast on use stuff.
Yes, the flame horn, I think. I like to think of it as a novelty sword that has a flask in it. Like it's unlimited because it just has a lot of booze in it.
Like D&D weapon manuals will talk about like they give you those swords that have like a pocket of mercury in them, so the weight will shift and you do extra damage. But instead of that, it's just Ripple, whatever. I don't know what Ripple is. It's probably some kind of like liquor wine.
A packet of Night Train. It's just but this gives you unlimited songs, which makes your bard awesome. Song stack, it's great. In the same song will stack in a battle, rather.
Right.
You also start getting your good utility spells around here. Phase Door, which we talked about, which allows you to walk through walls, turn a wall into a door. Scry Sight, which tells you where you are, and tells you what things are around you. And then a Port Arcane, which is your teleport thing. And any of those movement ones can be disabled on certain dungeon levels if they have an anti-teleport spell on them. But for the most part, these are very essential.
Right. Floor 2 starts getting a little bit more dense in its design. You start out in this kind of awkward spiral that if you don't take one of the right doors that leads off of it, you end up firmly in the domain of High Priest Bashar Cavalor.
Okay.
Like cool.
Right in front of him, there is an anti-magic square. So we'll take care of all your buffs. Sadly. He's at the back of the chamber, guarded by a blue dragon.
Right. First of the dragons. Dragons are bad news. They're almost always, over leveled for where you're at. And they can target everybody with their breath.
Yep. The crypts to the south here have all these kind of traps and spinner squares. So it's hard to get through. Once you do, though, you get the stairs down to the third floor, which is this big open chamber. Very disorienting. Usually, there are no landmarks. It's just walls. If there are no walls, it's very hard.
There is a message in a room that says, "Seek the Mad One's stony self in Harkin's domain," kind of telling you, roughly where you need to go. But that information is not enough. You need a treasure that's at the end of this. Something that is a real problem. There is a special enemy called a doppelganger that starts showing up here. A doppelganger, if you do not kill it immediately, it will insinuate itself into your party. And it will be identical for all the world to somebody else who is in there. And you need to figure out which one is wrong.
I love it. I love that thing. It's a little sicko mode, but it's good. Happy about that.
It's a good trick.
Yes. Makes me happy to see that. So what you have to do, the goal down here is the Spectre of Witch King Idrek, who is very weak, but he drains a level. He can drain levels. And you get this glowing eye from him, which is what's going to allow you to go into the next zone. That's saved. It's on your character. So you can go into Harkin's castle.
Well, you could go into Harkin's castle before this if you could defeat the statues out front. This will let you go through the back of Harkin's castle to get to Kylaren's tower.
The fourth second zone.
Right. But the castle itself is up at the north of the city, this little complex that's kind of blocked off by stone ogre and gray dragon statues. The gray dragon is no joke. Like, this is an actual, like, legit wall.
He's a boss. Like, you got to grind past him. He's got a breath attack that can kill a lot of your party. You need to be able to survive that or get speed enough where you can kill him before he can attack.
Right.
This is a big step up in difficulty, as obvious would be in a place with only 4 dungeons. Each one has to represent 20% basically of this. But fewer status effects here, so you can mostly heal through most things. You also probably unlock some heal or some status effect spells at this point, but it's trickier in terms of raw damage, less tricky in terms of trickery.
Right. Yeah.
Here.
You're still spending SP to basically do anything, to make any kind of distance. The Jabberwock enemies here are a real pain in the ass in terms of just one-shotting my dudes until I leveled up past them even further.
Dislike.
The Southeast introduces us to our HP drain tiles. These will just do damage to you as you're standing on them. The trick is you don't know how many of them there are going to be as you're running, so it's just a mandatory damage tax as you're going. You're going to pass over those because you're going to want to get a crystal sword down here.
Yeah, which is great. That's one of it's the one that is the thing when I was reading the hint book that the thief was coveting.
Ooh,
it's a weird thing that stood out to me.
Made of crystals.
Yeah, he likes it. To get to the north part of this floor, you had to have a bard sit on Harkon's throne. Bard is necessary. Yeah, they're great. Yeah. Anyone else will be hurt by it. Only the bard's mighty ass can suck up the tax. His mighty dumper can slurp up all the traps.
Yeah, he is drunk enough to soak the tack.
Yeah, he's got no problem.
What do you mean it's sticking out of my ass?
Hard butt. The second floor map is shifted. There's a lot of unintuitive wrapping you have to account for. Yeah. So, on your screen, it looks like one way, but really, if you shifted the whole thing over to the left, it would make more sense.
Yeah.
You just have to kind of spatially understand the wrapping.
Yeah. There's a riddle in the Southwest that gets you a very good shield, the Ybarra shield, which is named after the game's producer. I believe lets your warrior cast a total protection spell. I didn't write down what the riddle was, though. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was very simple. Yeah. If I recall, in the center, you find, I don't remember what it is off the top of my head either. My rhythm for playing this game was really weird. I started off kind of chugging it and then realized like, oh no. And then started instead just kind of picking at it every day while watching YouTubes. And it was this real weird spot where like I was paying attention, obviously, like you have to play the game, but I couldn't pay full attention to it. So like my memory got fuzzy on a couple of these riddles that run together. Yeah. So you go into the center of this and there's a wizard who gives you a riddle about an undead who sucks blood. So see if you can guess what that is.
Vampire.
Yes. And you get a portal to go to the southwest here. Yeah.
And you find a pretty important item here, the silver square. You're going to need 3 of these silver shapes to get through to Mangar.
Yes. The 3 shapes that make the EA logo.
Oh, huh.
Yeah. Square, circles, triangle. The publisher of this on the Nintendo, at least. The third floor has this old man who asked you what tavern is on Night Archer Street. This is map knowledge. The original game came with this beautiful cloth map. I love in the remaster, you can just bring that up whenever you like to see this. I
like this as a extremely late game copy protection.
Yes. Very funny.
But you got to answer that to pass. There's on these upper floors, there is a new type of enemy, this lurker, who is pretty difficult to hit, but will confer the status effect nuts on you.
Yeah, instead of confused, the status effect is nuts. Love it.
My HP is 15 out of Crazy Town Banana Pants.
Yep, it turns everybody into a children's science show host.
Yeah,
like every warrior is now just like Professor Chemical. And they're all just singing songs about matter.
Yes. I would like to be able to pass, but perchance my bard is...
Awooga. So to get to the final encounter here, you had to pass through this dark maze in the southwest corner where there's a lot of those darker than dark spells.
Yes. Yeah. And before, kind of the real capstone encounter here is Harkon's Legion, which is 400 berserkers in a room.
Yes. This is the power leveling spot, but it does not respawn.
Right.
In this version. 400. Again, you just have to do the right spells.
Yeah.
There's a field of spinners. And then you get this 15-foot tall golden statue that's missing an eye. But you can stick the eye in the catacombs into it. This is the stony self of the mad god.
Yeah.
Gaze at the awesomeness of one mad god.
Yeah.
And he turns to life.
Yeah. And it's like, all right, lots of pomp and circumstance. Let's get ready for a big, long battle. Beat him in one hit.
Yeah. It's not balanced like a video game.
No.
And then you, at least in the remaster version, it's worth saying, like, all these things we're doing in the remade version. The original version is apparently much harder.
Yes. Yeah.
So I believe it. Beating him warps you to the base of Claren's Tower.
Right. This is a small dungeon. It's only one floor as the map goes, but it is all like it's a sequence of smaller chambers that are like a puzzle maze kind of deal.
Yes.
That you go through kind of linearly in these challenges here. The first of which involves taking a bunch of hints about this password in the central chamber. Made of earth, yet without soul, as living statue, he is whole. As a guardian, he must walk. The first part of his name means rock.
Yes, served hot or iced. This, it's the teleporter out of the central chamber is guarded by the speaking wall. Again, that's great. Name the one of cold, foretold, twofold. These are what the hints were. So stone golem,
right?
Is the answer.
Yeah, that's the way out. Then you get warped to this large dark chamber that has another speaking wall kind of secluded away inside of it. It says, name the endless byway and your path shall be guaranteed. This is a cool feature of the town.
I love this.
Nobody can leave because the one road out just keeps looping.
There's two roads. There's one road that's snowed in.
Yes.
So it feels like really like gilding the little like hat on the hat in like the best way, because it could just be snowed in, but they decided to have a Sinister Avenue, and Sinister Avenue, you just get teleported and confused back to the front of it whenever you walk down it. That's so great. It's just real weird.
It's just a way to fuck with the people who live on that street specifically.
Dude, imagine the rent on Sinister Avenue, like ludicrous. Like if you woke up every time you left the house, you turned around, like you lost your bearings. Awful. There's a darkness maze after this. This opens the door to the teleporter out. You reach this darkness maze on the way, and there's a message to the south: beware the sting at the tail of the of Serpent Way.
Yeah. The north end of this darkness maze has another silver shape. They get the triangle here. And a path will lead you down to the crystal golem, which will only stay dead if you kill it with the crystal sword. Otherwise, it keeps getting back up.
Yep. Another kind of like lock and key based thing based on classes. Yeah. This is interesting. When it came out, like you were incentivized and intended to do a well-balanced party, but you have to have certain classes in this.
Yeah.
This is kind of before these games would open up to where like weird challenge runs.
Yeah.
Are available. Like you can't do an all magic run or some kind of weird shit like that because you can't use this weapon that you need.
Yeah.
The snake path is on the east side of the stage. If you take the south exit, you end up in a stasis field. So you don't want to do that.
You have to teleport out of there. It's bad news. Yep. You just have to take the not south exit, which will get you up to Kylarn. At the end of this series of trials. He is a wizard, but he is not an enemy. He, in fact, stands athwart Mangar. And the way to Mangar's tower can only be opened with Kylarn's onyx key.
Yes. He gives it to you, drops it for you, says, good luck, and remember, seeing is not always believing. Okay.
Which is just a wizard thing to say. Like just
because something is symmetrical doesn't make it true. Now we're ready to go to Mangar's tower.
Yes. Here. Yeah. To reach this, you've got to go to the third level of the sewers. Which you've got to pass through several times because when you leave Mangar's tower, the gates are one way until you buy a key at the very top of the tower, which is just a real fuck you knife twisting kind of thing for them to do.
Yeah. Everything's here. It's a big monster party. It's full of undead and dragons. All of the worst enemies are here.
Yeah. No, you're going to be level drained left and right. There are doppelgangers. There are lurkers. Big deal. It's also long. It's a five-story dungeon.
Yep.
Yeah. This first floor is a pretty standard maze. Halfway through, there is something that is announced ominously as the Death Field, which is just a chamber of darkness with a bunch of HP drain tiles and traps.
Yeah. Sounds cool, though.
Yeah.
Floor 2 has the spiral of darkness with a speaking wall in the middle that says 2 shapes yours, 1 around. Speak the shape of the final found, which is a circle, completely the EA logo. There. Floor 3 is almost entirely super dark, and there are speaking walls all around, each that speak a single word.
Yes.
3 years. So you had to put those together.
Yeah.
To get the password.
Yeah. To the east of this is where you find the Keymaster. He's in this little spiral. Again, you've got to discern this in the dark. But he will let you buy the master key that will open the gates, so you don't have to pass through the sewers every time.
Yes.
But you're basically at the end here. The 7 words that you find, they form they're out of order, but you've got to put them in order to make the sentence lie with passion and be forever damned.
Yes.
You speak those, and then this spawns the stairs.
Yep.
Up to level 4.
So do not lie down with passion.
No.
Or tell falsehoods with passion. Level 4 is basically normal. You follow this trail of teleporters here, except for that, and reach this magical tile that swaps doors and walls. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
The idea of every door is a wall and every wall is a door.
It's a good trick.
Yeah, cool trick. This opens the way to the portal up. You can also get possessed here, which is a charm form. If you don't have the dispossess spell, you need to kill them and then go resurrect them.
Yeah.
Or resurrect them with a spell.
And floor 5 is pretty simple. There's a small little teleporter maze, but you get to this big central area with tons of encounters if you step off the main path. And you got to walk up north, to the center where Mangar is. So pass a couple of encounters, few traps, but he's locked behind a door that requires those silver shapes. So if you have not been thoroughly exploring and finding all of those, all 3 of them, you got to go back and find them.
Yeah. Pretty big bummer. So again, another reason to explore, but once you know where things are, you can beeline to it.
Right.
Once you, to get through them, you go through the anti-magic traps. So you have to cast all your buffs again before you fight him. When you fight him, he's got his buddies here, which are vampire lords and greater demons.
This was probably the only genuinely difficult fight in the game. Even when I was appropriately leveled for it, like this took a couple of tries because those demons and vampires got me a lot of the time.
Like I won, but I lost some people.
Yes.
It was that kind of like good, barely making it feeling. But eventually you take him out. Mangar is long range. You have to take out the vampire lords and greater demons first. You basically just throw everything you can. At them. This is one of the few fights that's long enough to justify doing buffs as well. Not just the buffs for walking around, but buffs in battle, I found. Once you take out Mangar, who's not too tough on his own, Kyliran appears, and congratulates you. Gives you a bunch of XP and gold in case you want to just kind of like wander the streets. Fighting guys, because again, the world does not have a state.
Right.
Really in this game.
Yeah. And that is the story. I guess we're just waiting for the thaw.
Yeah, for Bard's Tale 2.
Yep. To go to other dimensions and put together a wand.
It's that great way that really old CRPGs were absolutely fucking wild. You're always going into other dimensions, or like if you ever want to have a really good time, we will never play them. This is my personal guarantee. But read the plot synopsises of Ultima 1 and 2.
Yep.
Like they're absolutely bonkers, cuckoo bananas. It's very funny there. Like I could see, maybe someday Ultima 4, Ultima 7. Like I imagine a long enough timeline we'll do those. But 1 and 2 are absolutely bonkers. and that's the Bard's Tale, which again, hard to underestimate how important this game is specifically for adding that additional production value. How important the genre is for codifying a lot of tropes in RPGs in general and console RPGs, and just one of the more, for me at least, difficult to go back to genres in this level of archaicness.
Playing this, I was very happy to get this perspective because it gave me a lot of time to think about, okay, how does this make me feel? What is the cool part of this? And where could I tell people, like, you're going to get a much better, like you can find this with far fewer drawbacks.
Grimrock.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's absolutely Grimrock. And if you were looking for like, but I still want something that's kind of like, old historic-y, like give me a sense of time, Ultima Underworld. Absolutely. Ultima Underworld.
Ultima Underworld is really fucking fun and good.
It has level design. It's great.
It has level design. You're going to spaces and stuff. If you want this kind of combat bit better. This is my understanding of the Etrian Odyssey games.
Yes.
I am not as driven by this combat, even though I know that there is a lot of build complexity in those, which is something I like.
Yeah.
There. But for me, Grimrock, with, the trick to this. So this is a weird thing about adapting tabletop games.
Yes.
And it's a problem with early CRPGs, and it's what trickled down into console RPGs, to me ultimately being a little bit frustrating, is that a good tabletop game is not 90% combat.
Right.
Like if you're sitting down to play D&D and it's all just combat, like we gave that stuff up in the 70s. If you I read a lot of old modules, even like ones in the mid 80s that are contemporaries with this game, are full of weird puzzles and shit and like problem solving. When you have these like 20-foot pits or whatever, that is a problem solving opportunity. Because it's a video game and video games are good at numbers. It ends up being only about combat. The riddles in this game are really welcome. There're just so few of them.
Yeah.
So like, that is why I can recommend Grimrock and not this, is because that's half puzzle by volume. You're doing a lot of different things. The combat's a little breezier. There's less of it. There's a lot of combat in the game, but there's still less of it than there is in this. But it just breaks it up. You're having an adventure. Yeah. And this doesn't end up feeling, this and games like this, like a Wizardry or early Might and Magic, I can sometimes get in the mode for them. Like I played Might and Magic 2 to completion on Genesis.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it at the time. But you have to be in like a mode, like watching numbers go up, tappa, and it's just, that's a tough mode. And it's tougher with less lights and sounds to distract yourself. Like, I don't think this is less complicated than Dragon Quest or Dragon Quest 2, but those games have like nice music and attractive graphics.
Yeah.
More attractive graphics than this, and more kind of spaces, like overland spaces that have personality to them. So it gives you a little bit more of the illusion.
Yeah.
This is very old, and it's, for me, it was hard to find the fun in it. I appreciate it. But Yep.
I've only ever played one other blobber like this, like that is almost precisely like this, and that was Don't Go Alone. That we played it for Abject Suffering, and then I did a Hexcrank article and video about it. But you are like a
contemporary, like it's a like almost like a Call of Cthulhu campaign.
Yeah, it's like the late 80s kind of thing, but you're like in a big haunted house. It's like Blobber alone in the dark. Yeah.
With sanity meters and stuff. I remember us talking about that. Yeah. That's interesting. At the same time,
don't play it. Don't play it.
I can't blob. I have a difficulty with the blob.
Yeah.
Here. I've been curious about Etrian Odyssey for a long time because Will is such a huge fan.
Yeah.
Those get, he was playing me the level up noises from one of them, and they're literally just like orgasm noises for some reason, like the little anime waves make a coming noise.
Yeah.
When they level up, and he was doing it, just like, not to just to be like, he loves those games. He knows what he knows what he is. He knows what they are. He's not denying anything about it. So it was a real warts and all depiction of those. I think that the flavor of those might be enough to put me off.
Yeah. What you actually want to play is Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey.
Yeah.
Which is basically, it's like Etrian Odyssey. I think they even like collaborated on that in order to make it. But it is horror and demon themed, and you are going through like the like an Antarctic base.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
And nobody comes when they level up. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, and what I really just want is Grimrock 3.
Yeah, I would like that too.
It was cool. It's super cool to go back to this, but it's a really weird little subdivision genre.
Yeah.
It's pretty tricky for me.
Yeah. And that's the Bard's Tale. Thank you, DWG, for getting us to go back to reach way back as we did. I
love anytime we can do a genre we haven't done. Yeah. Even if I don't have that much fun doing it, I'm really excited to talk about them.
Yeah.
That is a goal that I have for this. It is fun to do those. If you are listening to this and you are a not straight, not white, not male creator, and you have a project you'd like us to shout out, please send me an email at Gary@Duckfeed.tv. We have a return project here, which is straight up fine. Like if you have new stuff that comes out. Kevin Bilopka Arbeles, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. I have a pronunciation guide, but I'm awful. Has a new album out. It is a Spanish language album written about the death of their uncle.
Okay.
It is called El Duelo de la Hus. And it sounds really cool and heartfelt. They lost their uncle. Very sad, and wrote this very sweet sounding album.
Nice.
That you can listen to. You can find this at Kerbarbs or Keybarbs. That's KEBARBZ.bandcamp.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And for people who remember, this is the person who submitted their project, An Ode to the End, which was the
short form fiction podcast.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So yeah, they have a new album out. Check it out.
Fantastic.
Yeah. If you have thoughts on episodes that we've done, it's duckfeed.tv/contact. The deadline is always the 15th of the month.
Mm-hmm.
This month's games are Norco, The Bard's Tale, which we're talking about just now, and the premium episode is Bowser's Fury.
Yes. If you have thoughts about next month's games, those are going to be, we're going to be doing a live episode about 7 out of 10 games. Write in if you have any thoughts about that. But the other episodes, Infernax, which is a kind of modern indie take on both Zelda 2 and Castlevania 2.
It fucks ducks. Like I cannot stress this enough. If you are listening to this and you haven't checked out Infernax, fucking play Infernax. It is absolutely killer. I love it. It's, in a year without the Resident Evil 4 remake, it would be my favorite game that came out or that I played this year. Yep. Pretty easy.
Yeah.
And I haven't played the next game they're doing, which is Pentiment, which I'm really excited about as well. I haven't played that yet. So maybe that will knock Infernax out, but that month is looking fucking killer.
Yeah.
Infernax, Pentiment, and the RE4 remake.
Yep. That's
still my goddamn heart.
Yeah. RE4 remake is going to be the premium version of that. But if you have thoughts, the deadline is June the 15th. Thoughts about multiple games, please separate those into multiple responses. That helps with the way we structure those episodes. Try to keep them brief as well, brief and specific, probably about like 2 paragraphs and about something very particular that you want to comment on.
Yeah. Looking less for reviews and more for like, this specific moment made me think of this. I liked this specific mechanic. I didn't like this specific mechanic. Stuff like that. One exception for 7 out of 10 games, if you want to write in and just say the name of a game, that's also fun. I've got a big list of them on Twitter. I might do like a rapid fire round and just throw some names out there because it turned out to be a very fun discussion. If you want to get those bonus episodes, go to patreon.com/duckfeed.tv. You get all the bonus episodes. So Bowser's Fury, RE4 remake, everything that we've done as a bonus episode, tons of bonus stuff, a bunch of bonus shows, entire programs, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. If you have already done that and you have not rated or subscribed, please rate or subscribe, rate, review, any of those things on whatever podcast directory you prefer to use. That helps us in ways that are difficult to describe, but we are pretty sure exist.
Yes. Yeah. We would love it. Tell your friends. Big thanks to Gwen. Gwen, thank you.
Thank you. Our producer, Gwen.
Yeah. That's great work.
I think that's everything.
I think that is it. What should they watch out for until next time?
Until next time, watch out. Make sure your bard doesn't get dry. Wet your bard, people.
Keep your bard trimmed and wet.